Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bare Threads. It's the Olympics at the moment, so here I am wearing my pink medal. I won the pink medal in the Living Room Olympics for the hop, skip, jump. My son won the orange medal. We're both very proud of ourselves. The Olympics is on in the background, it's very exciting. But this is actually a sewing video, you're probably relieved to know. So I have made a couple of pairs of shorts, so slightly different looks. And different short patterns. I realised that I do need shorts. There's something like I need more bottoms and trousers and shorts. They're just harder to fit than tops and dresses and skirts, but they are actually what I need. The weather has actually now turned hot, so I am realising that I don't have a lot of shorts that I want to wear or that fit me properly, so I decided to get a few short patterns. This one was a free pattern, so I thought I would try that, and then this one I did pay for because I thought this would have a good chance of fitting because it is made with a stretchy knit fabric, which makes it a little bit easier. But starting with this one, they are like quite eye-catching. So this was a mock-up, really, a toile. I didn't expect it to be something that I would wear. This wouldn't have been my chosen colourway necessarily, although to be honest I'm kind of enjoying it because it does have like the sporty look. They are called the Sport Shorts by the Friday Pattern Company, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. Like I said, it was a free pattern, so I downloaded it. For some reason I made the size extra large and I can't quite remember what my logic was. I think I was going to make the large and then I decided at some point to cut out the extra large, and I guess I was worried it'd be too small, which is always, obviously you don't want to wear shorts that are too small, but I'm not quite sure why I thought the extra large would fit. They are too big for me. They're not that much too big, they're not like, I can still wear them and they don't fall off, but I think the large would probably be a better fit. They are made from woven fabric, so I used these. So the orange is a poly cotton and the green is actually cotton poplin, and the cotton poplin, the green, I bought for a different project to make a top, and the orange is a poly cotton that I also had for a different project, but that was to make like a kind of banner to attach these badges that I've got for my son, for like do little projects and you get a badge for it. And so I'm just sticking them onto that, so that's why I got just like a cheaper poly cotton for that, and I just had quite a lot left over, and then I had quite a bit of the cotton poplin left over because I didn't really use very much of it for the other project, so I thought I would try it out in those fabrics since I had them. They were relatively cheap and I wasn't planning to use them for anything else before I would use like a nicer fabric. But I actually think, like I said, that the block colour rather than patterned and also the bright colours and the high contrast does actually add to the kind of sporty feel that you get from the style of the shorts, and also obviously for the bias binding that goes around the legs, down the side, well it's like all around the legs and then that includes the side, and then around the pockets. So yeah, the pattern is made of woven fabric. It has the front and back of the legs, it has pockets, so it has the pocket bag pieces, it has the waistband, and then it has the tie bits, and then it also has the like bias binding around the edges. So yeah, it was a slightly more advanced pattern than like a true beginner, which for a free pattern is quite nice because a lot of the free patterns are the really simple ones that are aimed at beginners, but it is just something to bear in mind that it is a little bit more complicated. So you have got the pockets, which are not that hard, but then you do have to top stitch them, and I feel like the top stitching looks a little bit odd. I don't know if I should have done that in the green. I did just run out of green thread actually, so I had to sew it all in a kind of like a corally orange colour, which just about goes with the orange. It's not a perfect match by any stretch, but it's okay. And so I don't know if maybe the orange top stitching for the pockets should have been a brighter orange to match the rest of the orange, or it just should have been green and it just looks a bit odd with the pockets being outlined like that. They're not my fave. That's not my favourite part of the look of the shorts. But you do have that top stitching, which needs to be relatively neat, but it's not too hard because it's straight stitch in a woven fabric. You've got the waistband, which has the elastic running through it. I didn't have wide enough elastic, so I've used slightly thinner elastic. It hasn't caused any problems. It still feels pretty comfortable, but then I suppose they are a size too big, so it's not going to be too tight. And then you do sew 2 rows of stitches through that waistband to hold that elastic in place. So that is just, again, a little bit more complicated than just sewing into fabric, because obviously the elastic is shrinking as you're sewing it, or you have to pull it taut while you sew it. And then you also have the drawstringy bit, so you have to do some like buttonholes, fake buttonholes, and then also you have to create the drawstring, which is like a long, thin piece of fabric basically, and that needs to be relatively neat. Mine is not super neat, but like I said, I wasn't planning to make these that wearable. And then you also have to make the bias binding. It does give you instructions to make the bias binding. You could also just buy bias binding, and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't just say that, but then maybe it was to help people learn how to make it. It's not difficult, it's just a bit fiddly and time consuming. You just have to fold lots of bits of fabric in half and kind of in half again, kind of, and then sewing the bias binding all around the edge is a bit time consuming. And also you do have to do it relatively neatly, because if you did it really scruffily it would show. I did it okay, but like on the inside some of it didn't get caught, so there are some gaps. So yeah, you just have to be a little bit careful with it, a little bit neat, and that's what makes it a little bit more challenging than a beginner sew really. But it's a woven fabric and they're usually easier to sew than knit fabric. And overall, I quite like the pattern, and I was a bit worried that the shorts would be too short. But on the picture I thought they looked quite short, but it's always a bit hard to tell. I would say that for me they're just long enough, and I wouldn't want to go any shorter than this. But it's all about, it depends on what you're comfortable with, obviously. I think because they are on the looser side, because they're not a stretch fabric, and because I made them a size too big, it does mean that when you are like jumping around, the fact that they're short is more of a problem. I think if you're going to go with really short shorts, you'd want them to be like quite fitted, or in like a tighter fitting, like a knit fabric that you'll be able to wear tighter fitting. So moving on to my other shorts, so these ones, quite a different, more sombre look really than those first ones, that do seem a lot more fun and more fitting to the season than these ones do. These are the Four Seasons joggers from Waves and Wild. So this is the knee length option, and they do also have a shorties version, which I'm guessing is going to be more like the length of those ones, and then you've got 2 longer lengths, and so they do go down to like full trouser. They call them joggers. When you look at their pictures, they are a slimmer fit than I would think a jogger would be. It's an Australian company, so sometimes maybe they just use slightly different terminology to describe clothing. They don't seem like true leggings because they're not that tight, not that fitted. But for me, a jogger is a looser trouser and thicker fabric, whereas this is designed for stretch knits with a decent amount of stretch to them. I use Ponte. They do say on the pattern that you can use Ponte, but it's kind of like a if you must kind of thing, and they don't exactly recommend it. I think they recommend like a lighter weight fabric, which then again for me that's not exactly like how I would imagine a jogger, but you know, it's completely fine. I went with Ponte because I had it. Again, I wanted to try out the pattern with fabric I already own, and I didn't really know what to do with the bits of Ponte that I had left. I quite like sewing with Ponte, also I thought, because it's kind of a stable knit and I kind of have previously found it quite easy to work with. This time it just seemed to be getting eaten by the machine, so I don't quite know what I was doing wrong. But yes, I thought I would just use up some of the existing Ponte, and it'd be interesting to see what they're like in different types of fabric, and perhaps doing the shorty shorts in a lighter weight, more fun fabric as well. Has a fairly thick waistband. I think you can even, there's even an option to do a thicker waistband. There's quite a few options with this pattern. Like I said, you've got 4 different lengths, you've got 2 different waistbands, and you do also have the option in this one to put a faux drawstring in, but that would be a faux drawstring, and so I didn't bother. There's no elastic running through it, so it's all just the waistband is the whatever the stretch of the fabric is. You've got then your 2 legs, obviously, and then you've got the cuffs for the bottom, and then there is a pocket which is just big enough for me to get my phone in. There is an option, instead of having this kind of rectangular-ish pocket, to have 2 kind of more circular looking ones, or like the entry points are more circular, but I stuck with the kind of phone pocket as being a bit more practical, but maybe the circular ones would be more fun. You would see more of the inside of the pocket, so if you did that in a different fabric, then that would look quite fun. The pocket construction was the bit that confused me the most. It's the first thing that you do. You attach the pocket to the wrong side of the, oh well, right sides together. You attach the pocket, or one part of the pocket bag, to the front of the shorts, whichever side you're having the pocket on. You could have 2 pockets if you wanted to as well, or you could have no pockets. But you attach it to one piece of the pocket to the front of the short, and then you attach and then you top stitch that seam, and then you attach the other part of the pocket bag and make that into a bag. And I didn't do it right, and you can't really tell, but there's a little tuck inside, but I did have to go back over sewing this bit when I was attaching it all together, because there was a little bit of a hole, and I think it was just my initial construction of the pocket was just a little bit off, and I think I just didn't really understand quite how I was supposed to like keep all the seam allowances and stuff. But I don't quite understand why you don't attach the 2 parts of the pocket bag together first and then attach it to the shorts. And what am I missing? Anyway, I might try doing it that way and realise that it's absolutely impossible to do it that way. But that was the only bit that like threw me a little bit, and I think that was just perhaps me getting a bit confused. The rest of it was like very plain sailing, very simple and straightforward. As you can see, I did 1 leg grey and 1 leg black because I didn't have enough fabric to do it all one colour. Just make it a bit more interesting than just grey or just black. They are a bit weird as well for summer, like they're very dark, so I would definitely like to do a pair of these in a more fun colourway. But yeah, those are my 2 sets of shorts that I've made recently, and like I said, they were both kind of mock-ups and toiles, but hopefully I will get somewhere out of them because I don't want it to be just a total waste. But yeah, I would like to recreate those in slightly different fabric and perhaps different size, just make a few little adjustments pretty soon so that I can get somewhere out of them for the summer. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and just give me a like and a subscribe.